The Word of Jesus on Prayer by George MacDonald. They ought always to pray. St. Luke chapter 18, verse 1. The impossibility of doing what we would, as we would, drives us to look for help. And this brings us to a new point of departure. Everything difficult indicates something more than our theory of life yet embraces, checks some tendency to abandon the straight path, leaving open only the way ahead. But there is a reality of being in which all things are easy and plain. Oneness, that is, with the Lord of life. To pray for this is the first thing, and to the point of this prayer every difficulty hedges and directs us. But if I try to set forth something of the reasonableness of all prayer, I beg my readers to remember that it is for the sake of action and not speculation. If prayer be anything at all, it is a thing to be done. What matter whether you agree with me or not, if you do not pray? I would not spend my labor for that. I desire it to serve for help to pray, not to understand how a man might pray and yet be a reasonable soul. First, a few words about the parable itself. It is an instance, by no means solitary, of the Lord's use of a tale about a very common or bad person, to persuade, reasoning a fortiori, of the way of the all-righteous. Note the points. Did the unrighteous judge, to save himself from annoyance, punish one with whom he was not offended, for the sake of a woman he cared nothing about? And shall not the living justice avenge his praying friends, over whose injuries he has to exercise a long-suffering patience towards their enemies? For so I would interpret the phrase as correctly translated in the revision, and he is long-suffering over them. I say unto you, that he will avenge them speedily. Howbeit, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? Here, then, is a word of the Lord about prayer. It is a comfort that he recognizes difficulty in the matter, sees that we need encouragement to go on praying, that it looks as if we were not heard, that it is no wonder we should be ready to faint and leave off. He tells a parable in which the suppliant has to go often, and often to the man who can help her, gaining her end only at the long last. Actual delay on the part of God, we know from what follows, he does not allow. The more plain is it that he recognizes how the thing must look to those whom he would have go on praying. Here, as elsewhere, he teaches us that we must not go by the look of things, but by the reality behind the look. A truth, a necessity of God's own willed nature, is enough to set up against a whole army of appearances. It looks as if he did not hear you. Never mind, he does. It must be that he does. Go on as the woman did. You too will be heard. She is heard at last, and in virtue of her much going. God hears at once, and will avenge speedily. The unrighteous judge cared nothing for the woman. Those who cry to God are his own chosen, plain in the fact that they cry to him. He has made and appointed them to cry. They do cry. Will he not hear them? They exist that they may pray. He has chosen them that they may choose him. He has called them that they may call him, that there may be such communion, such interchange as belongs to their being and the being of their Father. The gulf of indifference lay between the poor woman and the unjust judge. God and those who seek his help are closer than two hands clasped hard in love. He will avenge them speedily. It is a bold assertion in the face of what seems great delay, an appearance acknowledged in the very groundwork of the parable. Having made it, why does he seem to check himself with a sigh, adding, "Howbeit, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth?" After all he had said and had yet to say, after all he had done and was going on to do, when he came again after time given for the holy leaven to work, would he find men trusting the Father? Would he find them, even then, beyond the tyranny of appearances, believing in spite of them? Would they be children enough towards God to know he was hearing them and working for them, though they could not hear him or see him work? To believe the ways of God so wide that even on the breadth of his track was room for their understanding to lose its way? What they saw so small a part of what he was doing that it could give them but little clue to his end? That it was because the goal God had in view for them was so high and afar that they could detect no movement of approach thereto? The sigh, the exclamation, never meant that God might be doing something more than he was doing, but that the Father would have a dreary time to wait ere his children would know, that is, trust in him. The utterance recognizes the part of man, his slowly yielded part in faith, and his blame in troubling God by not trusting in him. If men would but make haste and stir themselves up to take hold on God. They were so slow of heart to believe. They could, but would not help it and do better. He seems here to refer to his second coming, concerning the time of which he refused information, concerning the mode of which he said it would be unexpected, but concerning the duty of which he insisted it was to be ready. We must be faithful and at our work. Do those who say, "Lo, here," or "Lo, there are the signs of his coming," think to be too keen for him and spy his approach? When he tells them to watch, lest he find them neglecting their work, they stare this way and that, and watch, lest he should succeed in coming like a thief. So throughout, if, instead of speculation, we gave ourselves to obedience, what a difference would soon be seen in the world! Oh, the multitude of so-called religious questions which the Lord would answer with, "Strive to enter in at the strait gate." Many eat and drink and talk and teach in his presence. Few do the things he says to them. Obedience is the one key of life.